This week, we get down to the details as the city unveils its 5-year housing plan, citizens debate the fine print in the Green Roof Ordinance, and we learn how ranked choice voting would work. I'm Rebecca Jacobson, and here's what's happening in your city now.
This is a humanitarian crisis. It goes past homelessness to gentrification, displacement, and workforce housing.
At a recent Safety and Housing Committee, City Council members advocated for stronger, faster movement on Denver's gentrification problems. Officials from the OED, the Office of Hope, and a 23-member Housing Affordability Working Group unveiled a 5-year housing plan that makes concrete goals for improving Denver residents' access to housing.
We are more ambitious in some areas than the plan is, but nothing conflicts with the plan. You know what I mean? There's nothing in this plan I disagree with. The question is whether it's fast enough, specific enough.
So we have to recognize that the city is playing a role in the displacement and gentrification of areas. And that's including, gentrification is both housing and businesses.
We have millions of dollars available for Global Area Swansea. We have land, we have housing units, we have a fiscal sponsor and Colorado Land Trust. Why the heck can't we get a community land trust?
I would concur with my colleagues. Look, it's one thing to measure, it's another thing to act. I'm glad we got the measurements down, and I think what needs to happen is we take this plan, we take those measurements and use it in a way that's actually going to create some change in the city.
We are hearing your concerns. I think the administration and the HAC are hearing that there is a need for aggressive change. Our hope is that we can pass the 5-year policy and we can get to work, roll up our sleeves, and get into the action plan for 2018.
Watch the whole discussion on Denver8.tv. We recently told you how the Denver Elections Division was examining the possibility of ranked choice voting and held a public forum on the issue. In this model, voters would mark their preferences for the candidates in order, instead of choosing just one. This would eliminate the need for runoff elections. If a candidate wins more than 50% of the votes, they win the election. But how are the ballots counted if no candidate gets more than half the votes? To find out, we looked at ranked choice voting in Minneapolis.
We start eliminating candidates and counting the next choices of those who voted. In this example, Zach is the candidate with the smallest number of first choice votes, so he is cut. We use the second choice votes on Zach's ballots and count those voters' second choices instead. If one of the remaining candidates now has more than half of the total votes, that candidate is declared the winner. If not, the next lowest candidate, Lucy, is eliminated. Her votes are now counted for the next choice on the ballot. Some of Lucy's votes went to Zach, who was already eliminated, so those new votes for Zach instead count for those voters' third choice candidate.
In this example, a candidate now has more than 50% of the votes and is declared the winner. The Denver Elections Division is still studying ranked choice voting, and there are no plans to move to this model at this time.
I'd like to officially open the public hearing on rules and regulations for green roofs.
On January 17th, the Planning Board heard public comments from dozens of concerned citizens about the rules and regulations in Denver's new green roof ordinance.
Have an exemption for residential houses, but how about houses of worship? If you put this restriction on existing houses of worship where they have to put a green roof on, and they may not have the money to do this, what do you do?
With regard to the definition of major structural alterations, they think they're too broad and would exempt too many buildings, where a green roof would actually be quite feasible on an existing building.
And then what about water restrictions? You know, we're in a drought right now, so how do we water plants on the roof when we can't water plants on the ground?
This is not easy. Leading the way, leading the world in sustainability is a challenge. But the experience of all of you at this table is up to that challenge, and I look forward to seeing how we can add greater definition to the areas that are vague, so we don't go and exempt everyone from an ordinance that the voters of Denver support.
You can read the full ordinance at denvergreenroof.org. Look for a new episode of Your City Now every Friday. Thanks for watching, Denver.